I used to have the lowest self-esteem, man. Honestly, like looking back, it's kind of funny to actually see where I'm at right now, the levels of confidence I have, how good I feel about myself versus the places I was at in my teenage years and in my 20s. And so I want to share with you guys the transformation I made because I know what it's like to be in that place. I was in a dark hole for a really long time, honestly, like a little bit too long in my opinion. I don't want anybody else to feel like that. More importantly, I want you to know how to feel really good, man, because I'm on the other side of it now. And so in this video, I want to talk a little bit about my experience that I've made from my teens to 20s to early 30s and how you guys could do the same in your own life. I'm going to give you the exact roadmap. So let's get into it. The very first thing I want you guys to understand was like, my dad died when I was 12 years old. He was my best friend. He was my coach. He was where I got all of my own self-esteem and confidence throughout my childhood up until 12 years old, right? Like he was my idol, my best friend, my coach, my role model. And when he abruptly passed, as you could imagine, my self-esteem went to negative, right? I remember feeling so shitty. Like I was embarrassed to go back into school after he passed away. 2 weeks went by of me sitting home crying. And all I could think about was everybody at school is going to know, everybody's going to be talking about me. And so I was like very embarrassed about the whole thing. And that lack of confidence carried with me throughout my teenage years because that wasn't like a common thing. I was the only dude in school for my entire childhood and even into high school. Like I don't know anybody else that happened to growing up. So it was a rare thing from my experience at the time. And it really affected my self-esteem. And then when later on in my late teens, like when I was 16, 17, I started smoking weed. And that was my next escape, right? First it was me avoiding playing video games, just disconnecting from reality. But then the next thing was weed. I always had this recurring theme throughout my teens and 20s of just trying to avoiding like uncomfortable situations. But it's almost difficult for me to articulate. Man, I'm a little choked up thinking about it. But that's really what it was. Like I didn't want to face the reality. And so I spent all my time in the video game land and in weed world smoking. And as you can imagine, that really brings low levels of self-esteem because I don't feel good about myself. I'm not accomplishing anything. I'm not confident with myself. I'm not building anything in the real world. Only in video game worlds I was building. And with weed, I was just fantasizing about crazy shit that wasn't even in the reality for me. So it wasn't until I was maybe 18, 19 going on, I don't know exactly, probably like 18, I started working out. And that was the best decision I ever started to do. It didn't change my life instantly, but I started to take it seriously at like 17, 18 years old. I went to the YMCA and I started lifting. And that was the first time I noticed I started to feel a little bit better about myself. It didn't solve everything by any means. I wasn't jacked. I wasn't even that big of a dude after doing it for 1 or 2 years. But it was something, right? And I think working out and physical fitness and diet, getting in great shape and hitting hard workouts is probably one of the foundational pieces to starting to build self-esteem. It teaches you discipline and the concept of putting in work daily to build something, that being muscle, putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation to build something. Now, I was still smoking, I was still eating bad, I was still drinking, but at least I was doing something right to get started. And it definitely helped. And after a couple of years of doing that, I started getting more and more healthy with it. I still didn't have that high of self-esteem, but I did manage to hook up with this girl who had a crush on me back in middle school. She wasn't that attractive in middle school, but she went away to Florida and she came back to Jersey at the end of high school, and she was way hotter. I thought she was out of my league at that point, but I was the dude she always had a crush on in middle school. I was a pussy at the time back then and in high school, but now I was a little bit cooler and she was hotter than she had ever been. And so we started talking, and it was pretty much like a layup for me because she had been crushing on me for like 10 years. And we started hooking up. She became my girlfriend. And fast forward for like 4 or 5 years, she actually ended up leaving me for another dude when I was like 24. And the reason behind that was I was still a pussy in that relationship, guys. Like, just because I went to the gym for a year or two leading up to that point doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. Like, that's what I'm saying. The gym alone isn't going to really change much. It gave me a little sense of something, but, you know, once I got into that relationship, I learned very quickly I don't have confidence. I don't have emotional intelligence. I don't really have anything going on in my life. I'm still just smoking weed, working a pizza delivery job. And so what ended up happening was after a couple of years, the arguing got worse. I didn't know how to keep the attraction high or keep her happy. And she ended up leaving me and I couldn't get her back. I Googled, I watched YouTube videos. I watched Coach Corey Wayne. I watched Matthew Hussey. I was watching all these fucking dudes on how to get your ex back. That didn't do anything for me. It ended up actually pushing me. I pushed her further away from me. Literally, I pushed her into the arms of another man. I could have gotten her back knowing what I know now, but I ended up losing her. And then at that point, I was pretty much at rock bottom socially. I started hitting the gym even harder, as you could imagine, but I didn't have confidence, right? So one pillar is the physical side of things, physical fitness, being able to hit the gym, building a body and a physique that you admire, that you feel confident with, because that absolutely will correlate into some level of self-esteem over the long term. Self-esteem is something that's built as you continue to put in work over time. You're not gonna have high levels of self-esteem if you haven't earned it. If someone just gave you $1 million, you might feel cool in the moment, but like once that dopamine goes away, you're gonna know deep down that you're still just a normal dude and you don't really have anything going for you other than the bank account, which is a hollow thing, honestly. So the next thing that I did when I tried to get my ex back was I actually discovered, wow, there's actually a lot more than I thought on social dynamics and putting yourself out there and dealing with rejection and being able to build confidence socially by going out and interacting with the world, right? Like a confident dude is someone who can put himself out there without fear of rejection or acceptance, right? Like you could just be confident in the world. If you could go up and interact with anybody without having fear of rejection or put something out into the world without fearing a potential consequence or judgment, I think that's a confident person. Now, confidence is situational, it's environmental, but if you can go out and interact with the world, especially attractive women or any dude or any stranger, and make friends or create attraction and get contacts and build a social circle and a dating life, I mean, dude, you could pretty much be confident with anything, anywhere in the world. At that point, you could drop me into the world and I'll be able to walk around confidently and know I could start from scratch and build a fulfilling lifestyle. So in my opinion, social dynamics, social confidence, I think that was one of the biggest impacts in my own life in terms of self-esteem, because I no longer compared myself to everybody else. I no longer felt shackled by the world. I viewed the world as my playground, and every person I encountered was an opportunity to start socializing and build my own skill set and connect with people. And so that became the second pillar in order for me and my own experience. Like first it was the physical fitness side of things, then I lost that girl, and then I dove more into male-female dynamics, understanding why I lost her. Then that led into me becoming very, very confident socially, to the point where I actually teach dudes how to do that stuff. And I did that for a very long time. I still do it, right? I'm extremely passionate about it. It was like my first love, so to speak. And that will be something I will forever do. I think even if you're in a relationship, you still need to develop social confidence. 100%. There's dudes in my community right now that have girlfriends and fiancés. One dude who has a wife. They're in the community because I teach discipline, mindset, self-mastery, confidence. Part of that is interacting with the world, networking, the whole thing, man. It's all correlated, right? But that was the second thing I did to build up my self-esteem, because now I don't have fear of judgment from anybody. But like that's why you have low self-esteem. You're worried about how other people are going to judge you. You can't put yourself out there. If something bad happens in your life, you talk down on yourself. You feel like a piece of shit. But if you look good and you put in the work for a long time and you build something physically that you're proud of, and then also you've put in the work socially, so you've made friends and understand how to just connect with people on a daily basis, it's really hard to feel bad about yourself, man. If you have those two pillars in place. The third one, in my opinion, is the icing on the cake. But I think those two pillars, if you could say I could only pick two things, it would be those, honestly. I think those two things, I could still not have this third thing and be content. But I don't want to just be content. I strive for greatness. I strive to be world class at a lot of the things that I do. And I'm just I'm an ambitious dude, man. I have very high standards and I want to achieve everything in life. So the third thing, once you've already had the other two, they don't need to be in order, but the third thing icing on the cake is the lifestyle, in my opinion. Now, I could be jacked and extremely socially confident, but I also think at the highest levels, honestly, you're putting out value to the world, but you also have the resources to provide for your people. I do think that correlates into self-esteem, knowing I have a lot to offer to people. Not that they would take advantage of me, but like I want to be able to take care of my people as a man, as the provider and the protector. I want to be able to take care of my people, my team, my coaches, my employees, my family, my mom, my girl, my sister. I want to be able to take care of everybody as the man. And I feel good when I do that. I always feel good when I can put value out to the world. I feel good when I can put love out to the world. I feel good when I can put good vibes and good energy out into the world. That's socially, that's with friends, that's with women, that's with relationships. And then the value is just putting out the content too. Like all of these things are value, energy, love. It feels good to be able to put that stuff out to the world. But the way that you do that is you put in the work first on yourself. Because if you don't feel good about yourself, if you're not proud of yourself, if you haven't built something that you really admire, feel good about, it's very hard to put it out externally if you're not proud of it. I'm proud of it. I want to be on camera every day, not from an egotistical standpoint, but because I've really put in the work for a very long time, and I feel like the rest of the world needs to hear this shit. Straight up. And I feel the best when I'm putting out the value to the world. I want the whole world to hear this shit, man. Because I think very highly of myself. It's correlated into self-esteem. You have a high level of self-esteem, you feel really good about yourself, but it's not from an egotistical place. It's because you want to help the world. When you get to higher levels, you want to help the world and put the love and the value back into the environment. And so that's why I think the third thing is lifestyle. And I don't mean I'm some billionaire chilling on an island with 7 models. That's not what I mean. I mean, I have the reach, the influence, and the resources to put out value and love to the world for the betterment of humanity. I think that's the highest level, dude. I think that's the highest fucking level. And that's why I love these videos. I live for this. I live to get up, hit my early wake up time, blast out the workout at 5 a.m., put myself into an awesome state, bring appreciation and gratitude for the day as an opportunity to build myself up, to become the best version of myself, to become the highest frequency version of myself, and then send that vibe, that energy, that love, and that value back into the world via content, via in-person interaction. Man, it's the most fulfilling thing, honestly. And when you get to those levels, you feel so good, dude, so good. But here's the thing, you don't need to hit that pinnacle. Not that that's the pinnacle. You don't need to hit that level to have high levels of self-esteem. Each level that you go through this thing, you'll feel better and better and better about yourself. So you could just start right now with a workout. Remove the bad shit, the vices, the alcohol. That shit is always just a temporary crutch, Band-Aid that isn't actually building self-esteem. It's numbing you to how you feel about yourself for a temporary fix in feeling good. That is not self-esteem. That's called liquid courage poison. Drugs, substances. That's not self-esteem, bro. That's going around it, which doesn't actually get you the result. It's about the character you build. So remove all of that stuff first. Fix your diet, go into this place right here, hit the gym, right? Go into the gym, hit a hard workout, and then you want to start putting yourself out there in small steps. Small steps, because if you're at lower levels, it's going to be a little difficult to get rolling. But just focus on putting out good vibes and good energy out into the world on a daily basis. Don't be afraid to post that piece of content. Don't be afraid to post that thing up online. You'll feel good about it. Like, take pride in it. Over time, you'll feel really good about it because you're proud of the character you're building in the process. And when you could do those two things really good, that will actually lead to the lifestyle itself. Because ultimately, you'll feel better about yourself. You'll do better in business. You could build a brand even. You could put out content out there. And ultimately, get paid for doing that at the same time. And that's where I'm at. Like, I get paid for it, but I'm trying to make money so I could put the money back into the world, so I could pay my people, so I can throw a dope ass live event inside of my community to transform everybody's life, so I can pay my mom on Christmas. You have all three of these things, man, you'll feel really good about yourself. And even if you just start doing 1 and 2 today, you could start making progress, bro. That's how I went from extremely low levels to the level I'm at right now. I'm 34 years old, and I'm still going. I'm still building this shit. But every day is a process. Every day it's a grind, man. And if I didn't have the system that I have in place to hold myself accountable, to track my progress, to to keep going through it, if I didn't have that mindset, man, I would have failed a long time ago, dude. Long time ago. So if you want to get direct coaching from me, if you want to be in my community, if you want that one-on-one 30-minute onboarding call with me, I'll structure out your week, your day with you. I run a daily live coaching call you can come to directly with me for accountability, for more in-depth coaching. You have a community of over 500 plus dudes in there. Cash giveaways on a monthly basis. Live events going on. Man, it's so valuable. I can't even put a price point on it. I used to charge $4,000 plus for this program, dude, and there was less calls. You could get in this program for a couple dollars a day right now. Try it out for 1 month. If you're anything less than blown away, I'll send you a full refund, bro. Click the button below, get into the new coaching program while the price is still what it's at. I look forward to seeing you inside of that group, bro. I'll DM you the moment you join. We'll book out your one-on-one, and that's how we'll get rolling. Click the button below, just watch the 1-minute video in the link below, and then make a decision if you're down or not. All right, that's all for today, fellas. Let's start working on our self-esteem day by day. Let's fucking go. I'll see you tomorrow.